After being reborn, I deliberately avoided the train to the water, car with a guy I was secretly in love with. I constantly reminded myself that I was just a son, driver. But when Gauss in hand looked at the seat next to him, at the empty place, he called the driver uncle for the first time. Uncle, you are already leaving. Father Mu was extremely surprised. Young master, do you still have anything to do? Gauss in hand felt inexplicably irritated. There is no need to wait for the torment today. The torment is just now. Wrote to me. He said that he had business with his classmates. Later, he will return by bus himself. Gauss in hand's face darkened. After the rebirth, everything went. Not like that. What can torment have to do with it? Because he never missed opportunities to travel with me in a past life. Every day he was afraid to make me wait, and obediently waited in the car in advance. However, this is even better. In a past life, I dated a tormentor for 5 years, and this later became a thorn in Chunzei's heart. Since I got a second chance, I need to stay out of the misery. At a distance. That day I walked for more than 2 hours until I reached to the Go family's old mansion. I walked around the yard and entered the servant's house. Go Tsinhan was in the main house. He saw me with second-floor balcony. His gaze followed my every move. And then he shouted my name. But I was wearing headphones, so I didn't hear Gauss in hand. Calls me, and, pretending that he didn't notice anything, he went straight to your house. With a cold expression, Gauss in hand walked towards the house where the servants lived. When I was already entering the room and was about to close the door, he held her. Mukin, didn't you hear me calling you? His behavior irritated me a little. I was wearing headphones and didn't hear you calling me. So, you wanted something. Only then did Gauss in hand realize that he had also been reborn. We only recently met and are not very close yet. Why? Didn't you go to your uncle's car after school today? I kept my distance from him. You're kidding. You, my employer, my father, driver. Who am I to ride with you? I didn't know my place before, but that won't happen again. I hope young Master Gao won't blame me. Gao Kingyam's face instantly became cold. You better have. And really understand your place. If the old gentleman asks, you will explain everything to him yourself. It wasn't me who kicked you out of the car. Having said this, he slammed door and left. I remained unperturbed. In this life, I would never. I will not repeat past mistakes. I've already applied for the hostel, but I'll have to wait a few days until space becomes available. The next day I woke up early and went to the bus stop. Wait for the bus, and Gauss in hand, as soon as he woke up, saw. From the balcony, he watched gloomily as I left for school. In my back. Don't think you can get my attention by doing this. A few minutes later I waited for the bus. There were a lot of people inside. I had to squeeze through deeper into the cabin, as soon as I found a place to stand. Then I felt someone push me from behind. I turned around and saw a middle-aged man standing behind me. He also smiled at me. I wanted to move away, but this man refused with an impudent look. Move and continued to stand close to me, and in this, an incredibly beautiful moment appeared out of nowhere. Some strange girl hugging a pot of cactus. Pushed forward. She muttered, skip, and made her way. Like a prickly cactus, she quickly pushed her way towards that man. Middle-aged, who hesitated a little, the cactus dug into his hand. Are you sick or something? If you drag a cactus onto the bus, might as well watch where you're going. The girl stood firmly in the place where she had just. There was a man. She apologized very casually. Oh, sorry. Next time I'll be more careful. Thanks for understanding. The man glanced at me. He turned away indignantly and moved to another place. I looked at the girl. She was just at that moment. She lowered her head and looked at me. She had very expressive facial features, with a look like he's looking at an idiot. We looked at each other for several seconds. I couldn't stand it, and asked, are you laughing at me? The girl hesitated, and then said, be careful in future. There are a lot of people like him on this bus. I saw it myself, more than once. Only then did it dawn on me that it turns out she was just. That helped me. Thank you for helping me. My name is Mukin. I am studying at AA University as a Chinese opera scriptwriter, and you? Droopy. On the contrary, I am studying to become an agronomist from the WB University. Until we were talking, the bus pulled up to the stop. Universities A and B were separated by only 2 streets. When we got off the bus, I wanted to thank her again. But Su Xiaowei took a long step with her long legs and quickly disappeared into her university opposite. I also turned around and went to my classes. I didn't attach much importance to this. This year's freshman party was especially noisy, all because we are raising programs, was Go Qinghan. Everyone wanted to look at the little prince of the family, Go from Nanshan. Only it was completely uninteresting to me. I didn't want see Go Qinghan. But Shun Haoshuan insisted on dragging me. With yourself, this happens once in a lifetime. We did it with such difficulty. If we don't go, then study. In unbelief it will not be complete. In the end, Shun Haoshuan seated me in the 3rd row. A senior student from the logistics department was carrying snacks. He was so wrapped up that he could barely move his legs. When he saw me, he asked me to help him carry the box, with buns backstage, handing them out to the guys who were performing, and didn't have time to eat. I took the box, I walked around the crowd, and went backstage. There were many senior students waiting for their turn, preparing for the performance. I left the bun on the table by the entrance, and unconsciously, I looked into the dressing room. In a past life I deliberately came backstage to help Gao Qinghan and give him a bun with berry filling, which he loves. The fact is that he is allergic to peanuts, and among those, there were a lot of buns with nuts. I was afraid that he would make a mistake and his allergies would interfere with his performance. But this time I didn't care about him, after all. He's already an adult. Doesn't he know how to spell the word nuts? For some reason, Zhu Qinghan sat in the dressing room and did not leave. He didn't move until there was a knock on the door. Song Yutong was about to get up and open the door, but Zhu Qinghan got ahead of him. He quickly walked to the door and said coldly, "I won't." But before he could finish speaking, he froze. "Who are you visiting?" The guy outside the door was afraid of Zhu Qinghan's face and shuddered. "Mr. Gao, I heard you were performing today." Bam! Gao Qinghan slammed the door with a gloomy face. He turned around, sat back on the sofa, and he smelled of Lydia. Cold, tired, and scratched their heads. "Qinghan, don't you like Zhou Yingqian?" Gao Qinghan froze for a second. I didn't see it, didn't. Saw him. But who did you take him for? Gao Qinghan did not answer. He was extremely annoyed. Why has the torment still not come, in a past life in? Has he already been here this time? In the end, the wait became unbearable. Gao Qinghan finally stood up and went out, but all he saw was people outside. The buns were already being distributed. Song Yutong brought a bun. Have a little snack. Now there is no time to go somewhere to eat. Let's eat after the performance. Gao Xinhan took the bun and looked at it to find that she had nuts. The expression on his face became even more gloomy. And so it was until the very entrance to the stage. Only then, Gao Xinhan finally saw me. The guys in the audience were screaming for Gao Xinhan, but I just sat with his face buried in the phone. I guess it was too noisy for me, so I just put on headphones. When Gao Xinhan finished singing First Love, the atmosphere in the hall became heated to the limit. Many people rose with bouquets on stage to give him flowers. Gao Qinghan has already received several bouquets, but he has not hurried to leave the stage. Without knowing why, he couldn't help but look in my direction. At this time, in the auditorium, in the 3rd row, Shun Haoshuan returned with 2 bouquets and thrust one of them in my hands. "Tormentor, I'm going to give flowers." Gao Qinghan will. "Do you want to come with me?" I returned the flowers to Shen Xian. "You're kidding me, giving flowers to Gao Xinhan. I'd rather give them to a dog." I looked at the stage and suddenly Remembered that Song Yutong was not very good in his past life. Helped, so I said, oh well. Let's go. Let's go together. At this moment got sinking. On stage suddenly remembered how in a past life he rejected. I'll probably accept you this time. After all, I know that he really likes me. Although I don't love him, I still have some feelings for him. There is. Gao Qinghan stood and did not take his eyes off me as I stood up. On stage with flowers. He didn't even realize how the moment I approached. To him. He instinctively released his hand and extended it to accept my bouquet. But, to his surprise, I walked past him and handed him the flowers. Sonia and Tun, standing behind. I said with a smile, your performance was great. Can I give these flowers to you? Song Yutong froze for 2 seconds and then became, and took the flowers. Of course you can. Thank you. Give it flowers. I turned around and left the stage without even looking. On Gao Qinghan. Song Yutong met Gao Qinghan's gaze. There was complete bewilderment on her face. Gao Qinghan turned sharply towards her. What the hell is going on between you and the tormentor? Song Yutong was speechless. What's going on? I don't know him at all. Qinghan. Maybe he did it on purpose. Is he doing all this to get your attention? HMF. Who is he? Why would I even pay attention to him when I returned to the estate? It was already 10 in the evening. Father Mu, seeing me, immediately came over and asked, Mukin, you didn't see Mr. Go at the university today. Today he didn't ask me to pick him up. It's already past 10, but he's still not there, and the phone is turned off. Ms. Go was looking for him everywhere. I took out my phone and opened freshman chat. Tell Ms. Go not to worry, they will rather. Anyway, let's go to karaoke. Okay, I'll report right away, otherwise she. Now he will send someone to question you. Among the photos in the chat, I also saw that next to. There is a very nice guy sitting with Gao Xinhan. This is Qinjie. They finally got together the next morning. The fact that Gukenhan did not spend the night at home yesterday is very angered Ms. Go. I was afraid that she would catch me and interrogate me, so I got up early and left. After getting on the bus, I immediately saw Xu Xiaowei. Today, Xu Xiaowei held a pot of crystal clear, succulent. I was a little worried that I would meet that man again. Middle-aged, I immediately walked up to Xu Xiaowei and smiled. Said hello. Xu Xiaowei silently moved a little, almost covering me with you. I was grateful to her for such care. I was the first. Started the conversation, Sister Su, what is that in your pot? How beautiful. I looked at it for a long time, but didn't dare touch. This succulent looked a lot like a gift that I received it for graduation in a previous life. Xu Xiaowei said that this is a neon Haworthy. Like. I nodded. Like. It's like crystal, so beautiful. Before I could finish speaking, Xu Xiaowei moved the Haworthia to me. Here, this is for you. I instinctively took it, a little surprised, really. To me. Su Xievi remained unperturbed. You liked it, Barry. I have a lot of these at home. And then I remembered, she's studying agronomics. Faculty probably knows how to grow such plants. Last time she was a cactus. Besides, one succulent is probably worth nothing. I gladly accepted the gift. Thank you, Sister Su. Next time I'll treat you to milk tea. Xu Xiaowei looked at me thoughtfully, and then took out telephone. Then look, don't forget about your promise. Come on. First let's add each other as friends. I also took out my phone. Okay, I won't forget. Soon the bus arrived at the stop, this time Su. Actually, Wei didn't leave right away, but even stopped to say goodbye to me. I was a little surprised. After waving goodbye to her, I went with the succulent to classes. Right at the beginning of the couple, Shun Hajuan burst into the audience and sat down next to him. He looked excited. I read and heard gossip all night yesterday in the chat, that same one. The princess from the Go's family went out with a handsome man from Lagunda. Of course, I knew that the handsome guy from Lagunda was Chinsa. He actually should have gone to study abroad. But because of problems with his father, it didn't work out. He had him to pass the exams and enter Lagunda. And now, at the university, studies have just begun, and things are not going well for the Chinsa family. He wants to grab hold of Gausenhan, that rich heiress, and she, in turn, quarreled because of him, refused to go abroad. They were just perfect for each other, probably. Now they're showing off to the fullest in Chunzu's rented apartment. Shin Hajuan, seeing my calm face, a little taken aback. Mukin, this doesn't surprise you at all, Gao Qinghan. She turns out to be dating someone. What do I have to do with this young lady than to waste my time? For gossip, it would be better if I found another part-time job. Shin Hajuan nodded. And that's true. Whoever this young lady wants, she will date. After waiting for a moment, Shin Hajuan spoke again. Mukin, is this Neon Haworthy yours? Wow, and you're still complaining to me about the lack of money, and you bring plants for the couples, which costs a four-figure sum. I was shocked too. You're kidding how such a small pot can cost four figures. Amount. Shin Hajuan looked at him carefully for a minute. Yes, which one is it? He's worth at least a five-figure sum. I searched the internet for a long time and found that a succulent really costs a lot. From the looks of it, Su Xiaowei must have put all her into it. So, then I took out my phone and found Sujia's earthly number. Wei. I took a photo of the Neon Haworthia and sent it to her. Cute. When you finish today, let me do better. I will return this flower to you. Su Xiaowei sent me a question mark in response. It is for you. Didn't you like it? I gave it to you. Why return it? It's too expensive. Besides, I'm afraid that he won't survive with me, that's all. I'd better return it to you. Some more time passed before Su Xiaowei responded. In a word, no need. And then I received instructions sent from her for caring for Neon Haworthia. Just take care of her, and everything will be fine. If anything is unclear, ask me. I turned off my phone and looked at the succulent in front of myself, and my view of him changed. However, this was not the end. Shin Hajuan suddenly stared at my Neon Haworthia, and again he gave out. Well, it's a torment, and your pot somehow looks suspiciously rich. I grabbed my heart. That's enough, shut up. During the day I had no steam. I carried the plant all the way to your room as if it were a treasure, tenacious. In the next room, the stepmother stood outside the window from the shaft. Me. Torment. Mistress Gu is calling you to talk. As soon as I heard Mrs. Gu, I reflexively felt irritation. In my previous life, during the 5 years that I was with Gu Qinghan, Ms. Gu was always giving me trouble when she wasn't around. My application for a hostel will be approved only in a week, so I'll have to live here for another week. I walked up to Ms. Gu and obediently asked, MS, what would you like? What would I do if it were in my power? I will not refuse. Qinghan missed class again. Today her supervisor called me. He said that she hasn't shown up for class for 2 days. But school has just begun, she said sadly. Mrs. Gao, but it didn't touch me at all, because I knew that the university supervisor would never call Ms. Gao to report truancy to Ms. Gao. Who dares to contradict the princess of the Gao family? Who at all dare to control her? Mukin, you study at the same university as Qinghan. You even have general courses. Could you keep an eye on her for me as soon as she's trying? Write to me right away. Let's start by exchanging contacts. I understood perfectly well that in fact Mrs. Gos. It wasn't because Gaozhen Han was skipping classes, but because she ran off on a date with Qin Jie. That's why she was mad. This already happened in a past life, but at that time I really liked Gao Xinghan, so I told her everything. And Gao Qinghan began to come for a couple, wait for me to do, taking photos for Mrs. Gao, and then running away. Later, when Mrs. Gao found out about this, she tore off. All the anger is on me. I won't help Gao Qinghan this time. I was about to refuse when Jan Lan slapped me on the back. All you need to do is take a photo of Miss Gao. It's not difficult, madam. Calm down. Mukin will definitely cope. With these words, she took out her earthly number and scanned Ms. Go's QR code and then sent it to me. Her contact. With a gloomy face, I followed Jiang Lan out. I won't take pictures of anyone. You agree, do it. Having said this, I turned around and returned to my room. I understood what Mrs. Go was up to. After all, just recently I myself was struggling to get closer with Go Qinghan. Madame Go couldn't help but worry, and Go Qinghan. Most of all, she hated being seen. So, Miss Go asked me to secretly take pictures. Go Qinghan to hate me, and also to prevent her from getting close to Qinjie. Around 10 in the evening, Go Qinghan finally returned. As soon as she returned, she immediately began to quarrel with Mrs. Gao. The quarrel lasted almost an hour. Enraged, Go Qinghan ran out of the mansion and headed straight into the gazebo next to the outbuilding. The gazebo was located directly opposite the window of my room. In my previous life, I often secretly watched Go Qinghan. From this window, Go Qinghan stared coldly at the window and began to count to myself. Every time she got to about 20, the driver's son went out to see her, then I went to bring her, then a probe, or even just went out. Look at her. But suddenly there was a quiet click, the window to which she looked suddenly slammed shut and then began to move. Curtains. Gao Qinghan froze with an incredulous expression. She frowned, went to the window and knocked. I didn't expect Gao Qinghan to come and knock. After standing in the room for a few seconds, I left. Miss Go, have you been looking for me? Gao Qinghan looked at me with a complicated expression. Why did you close the window to protect your privacy? Can't. It's not good for anyone to look into the room. Gao Qinghan became gloomy. I behaved completely differently than in my previous life, but I decided that this was just my next trick to attract her attention. If so, then keep your window closed. Don't you dare open it. I cast an angry glance at her back. What a quarrelsome young lady. A noise. Gao Qinghan suddenly stopped and turned around. My mom told you to take pictures of me in class. So, I was taken aback. How do you know? Don't worry, I won't take risque photos. I haven't done it before, and I won't do it in the future. Gao Qinghan furted coldly. Her gaze became somehow ambiguous. After being silent for a few seconds, she said, "You can take pictures." Since she ordered, then take a photo. I'm still not going to skip after saying that. She turned to leave. She remembered how in her previous life her mother scolded for a long time. Me for helping her deceive my mother for a long time. Scolded me. This time she didn't want to be scolded like that again. But then I suddenly called out to her, "Wait." Gao Qinghan stopped. An expression appeared on her face. I knew it. He is still in love with me. She arrogantly asked what such. And then she saw that I was holding the phone. The camera was aimed at her. Miss Gao, you just said that I can you take pictures, correct? Please repeat again. Once. To avoid being scolded later, Gao Qinghan became angry. I said, you can take pictures. If you want to take pictures, take pictures. So it's clear. Having said this, she turned around and walked away. I saved the video with satisfaction and went to bed peacefully. Who would have thought that Gyuking Han could never sleep that night? The next day, Gyuking Han had morning classes. Getting into the car, she looked to the left out of habit, but The one who was supposed to obediently wait for her was not in the car. The car had only been driving for a short time before it passed me walking. Gao Qinghan's gaze focused on the milk in my hand. I always liked to drink milk in the morning, every day when I woke up. I put 2 bottles of milk in warm water, and when leaving at home, I took them with me to drink in the car. Gao Qinghan has not drunk this kind of milk for a long time. She looked at him for a couple of seconds, and then suddenly said, "Stop the car," and then told me through the window, "Sit down." I shook my head. "Thank you, Mrs. Gao, but no need. I'll take the bus." Gao Qinghan showed me favor for the first time, but I didn't appreciate it. He said, "Do what you want." The car sped off, and I was like, just caught the bus. Xu Xiaowei, as expected, was also on the bus. I approached her with joyful surprise, the eldest. "Good morning." Xu Xiaowei immediately hid her phone. If I looked closely, I would see that she was looking at my page on the internet. I handed her a bottle of warm milk. "Senior, this is for you. Xu Xiaowei and I have already taken the bus together several times and managed to make friends." She opened her phone and showed me her beautiful garden. After we got off the bus, she said, "Me, someday I'll show you my garden. There is also a small pond with fish." While we were talking, Xu Xiaowei suddenly stopped. I also felt something. Raising my head, I saw Gao Qinghan, who was standing nearby with 2 friends. He stared gloomily at the milk in Xu Xiaowei's hands, alone from his friends. I sarcastically remarked, "Qinghan, this is your driver's son, right? Wasn't he following you around all the time? What? Have you found someone else now?" Head, found someone else, hurt Gao Qinghan. He could not even imagine that I had also been reborn. Gao Qinghan stared at the milk in Xu Xiaowei's hands, and then looked at me with a cold grin. "And I was wondering why you stopped riding with me for free. So you found yourself another woman. You don't need me anymore." My face darkened. "Mr. Gao, what kind of nonsense are you putting up with? What? Am I wrong? When you first appeared in Zhu's house, didn't he wait for me in the car every morning? You used to bring me this kind of milk too. What? Are you giving it to someone else now?" Thinking about it in the past, I lost the expression. Faces. I'm so sorry that I once liked Gao Qinghan. What? You didn't stand up today? Gao Qinghan again cast a sagging, appraising glance. "Hey, you probably don't know. He is the son of my family's driver." I felt terribly embarrassed. "Sorry, Senior Su." Xu Xiaowei reached out and ruffled my hair. "You don't have to apologize for anything. You didn't do anything bad. Did? I know that Gaozenhan has a disgusting character, but I really didn't want to drag Xu Xiaowei into this. Senior, you better hurry to class. Don't be late." Suji Avena frowned and asked me who he was. I was silent. A couple of seconds. "He's crazy." Suji Avena froze for a moment. She asked with a chuckle, "Is this your girlfriend?" "Of course not." Seeing how I hastened to disown him, Gudson Han coldly firked, "How can I be interested in son of some driver?" Everything inside me was boiling with anger. "Yes, you're not looking on sons of drivers. Who was with you for 5 years then? Ghost, who asked you? It's okay if you have problems in your head and share." In his 2 lives, Gaozenhan heard from me for the first time. Swearing. He was simply dumbfounded. He stood and stared at me. Gotsenkin fell silent. Susievi also fell silent. My face showed embarrassment. "Older Su, goodbye. I went to class, and you hurry up." Without waiting for an answer from Yu Zhuwei, I turned around and ran in. At the school gates, I didn't dare look at Su Xiaowei, afraid to see in her gaze surprise and contempt. In a past life, when I was together with Gaozenhan, I've seen enough of such views. Gao Xinhan stood there with a cold, gloomy face. He stared at Susievi with annoyance. Susievi also had a gloomy face. She was holding milk in her hand and looked angrily at my back until I disappeared. Then, she also turned around and left. This morning there was a general lecture. Sitting down, I opened a dialogue with Susievi. I wanted to apologize, but hesitated for a long time, choosing the word. In the end, I never sent a word because everything seemed out of place. Just when I was about to turn off the phone, came message from Susievi. Something happened. And then it dawned on me that I was typing the message almost 10 minutes, but still didn't send anything. The interlocutor is typing. This whole process is most likely. I saw Susievi, and I was so embarrassed that I even blushed. All these, I'm really sorry about what happened. I hope you don't take this to heart. I told you, it's not your fault. You don't need to apologize. My eyes turned slightly red compared to Go Qing Han. The character of all these Su is simply wonderful. Go Qing Han spoke in such a tone right in front of Xu Xiaowei. I don't know if Xu Xiaowei misunderstood me. Did she really think that I was a guy who was flirting with all the girls in a row? While I was thinking, someone walked past my desk and pushed it. I raised my head and saw Go Qing Han being followed by. Face passed me by. She sat down in the very back seat. Gao Qing Han came to class today. Didn't she go look for Chen Zi? Was what she said last night really true? I froze for a few seconds and then immediately grabbed telephone. I took a photo of Gao Qing Han who had just sat down and quickly sent information about Mrs. Gao with him. She said you can take pictures and send Mrs. Gao for control, so I took a photo. The fewer problems, the better. As soon as Gao Qing Han sat down, Tang Shiran told her, I just took a picture of you on my phone. Expression. Gao Qing Han's face finally softened a little. I know, I'm not blind. In the next 2 days, when Gao Qing Han and I were in class, every time I took photos to report to Mrs. Gao. Soon, rumors that I like Gao Qing Han and I secretly take pictures of her spread around the university gossip group. Shen Hajuan flipped through the posts in the gossip group and showed me. They say that you like Go Qing Han, and you are not only. You look after her, but you also pursue her. You take pictures of her during class. You take pictures after class. Even when you have classes in different classrooms, you come running specifically to secretly photograph her. I was speechless. So that's why in the last 2 days, everything has been like this on me. Were you staring? It turns out that's what it's all about. But it's not as exaggerated as they say, right? Someone deliberately trying to denigrate me. It's all a misunderstanding. It's just that this young lady is constantly skipping classes, so Miss Go asked me to look after her. Every day, I have to take a photo of her in class and send. Okay, Shen Hajuan looked shocked after listening. Such a mother. It's just terrible. Yes, no wonder. That Miss Gu is such a rebel. Mukin, you really aren't going to. Nothing to explain? They misunderstood everything. They say very unpleasant things. I shook my head because I know that the rumors about Jiyu, the Sanghan, won't last long. In 2 weeks, Chen Jia will urgently go abroad because of family problems, and then Gao Xinhan no longer has. We'll be able to skip classes to go to him. Miss Go has calmed down, and I no longer need to take pictures. Every day, whatever you fear happens. At lunchtime, as luck would have it, I ran into Gao Xinhan again. What a shame, in a past life, to meet him. I had to do my best to adjust. Random encounters, and after rebirth I stumble upon it in a completely inexplicable way. You've been photographing me here for a couple of days. You're not going to report back. After pausing, Go Qing Han again meaningfully stared at me. My photos, you save them in the album, right? I humbled him with a contemptuous look. It's you all the time. Skipped classes, causing Ms. Go to force me to photograph you for the report. Now you regularly go to class every day, and Mrs. Go was very pleased. What is there to report on? And don't worry, I didn't save any of your photos. Didn't save it. In Gao Qinghan's gaze, he looked a little disappointed. You took so many pictures and didn't save a single one. Why should I keep them? As a talisman against evil spirits, Gao Qinghan against anger. I even laughed. I don't believe it. Mukin, are you in love with me, but you're afraid to admit it? I admit, in a past life I was really in love. In Gao Qinghan, but now I'm sure not. I took out my phone and opened a correspondence with Mrs. Gao. If you don't believe it, see for yourself. Gao Qinghan snatched my phone in chat history. There were only photographs of his classes or after them. Each shot is a blurred view from the back or side. Not a single photo of Van Foss. Gao Qinghan's face instantly became gloomy. Well, come on. You follow me for her. Take pictures. Me. But you can't even take off my face. It's so strong. Don't you want to see me? I remained unperturbed because in your face, there is nothing special. Gossenhan smiled coldly and nodded. Then tell me whose. Beautiful face. This is Isuji Wei, or something. Why are you dragging in again? Senior Su here? Older than Su. How intimate it sounds. I'm older too. You. Why don't you call me senior? What is your relationship with her in general? Relationship? I reached out my hand to pick up the phone, whatever we had. There was no relationship. It doesn't concern you. Gao Zhenhan's face. It was gloomy. He forcefully threw the phone to the ground. The phone screen crashed with a crash. I hurriedly picked it up. Gao Zhenhan, you're sick. What? Is it? Knocked down the screen. If you pay, I will send you an invoice. I hope Mr. Gu will not refuse to pay by saying. This I left. I didn't want to be near Gao Zhenhan for even a second longer. Gao Zhenhan stomped his foot in anger. Crap. Previously, knowing that I was photographing him, he was smug. He thought that I was secretly in love with him, and therefore, allowed himself to be filmed, believing that I would then secretly, looking at these photographs, but in the end I brought myself down, to the point of rage. Go outside. I went back to the institute through the gastronomic street. I didn't even know that Suji Wei was from a nearby institute. Today I also had lunch on this street with my classmates. Su Xiaowei saw me first, but did not call out. She spent several hours this morning in the agricultural institute, and her clothes were stained with dirt. She didn't want to spoil her image in my eyes. Besides, I didn't look good when my silhouette disappeared. In the crowd, Susievi noticed that her classmates were behind. They also don't look at the table. She's the one you were talking about. She looks like a good girl. And you can't say that she is a butt. Susievi couldn't stand it, and asked, what are you talking about? What other pursuer? This is Gu Qinghan, the main star of the school. Haven't you heard of her? Look, her driver's son is secretly in love with her. He studies at the same school with her, and for the last few, he constantly takes secret photographs of her for days. A classmate opened the post. Look, Ms. Gao only. 2 weeks since she arrived, and she is already being pursued by some fan. And here he is, that same photographer. The photo in the post was of me holding the phone and filming. The back of Gao Zhenhan. Xu Xiaowei again remembered the words Gao Zhenhan said. This morning, does Torment really like Gao Qinghan? He frowned. Anyway, these posts are harmful. I'm tormenting. I should have removed them when I returned to school. I saw this too. The same news about how I secretly photographed Gao Qinghan. But it was very quickly deleted, and all messages related to with me were also completely erased. Shen Hajuan was shocked. This is the power of the Gao family. Erase something from all over the boarding school. I looked at the phone doubtfully. It seems to me it was not Gao Zhenhan who did this. But if not her, then who? On the third day, as soon as I reached the classroom door, I saw Gao Zhenhan descending with long strides up the stairs. It's student's birthday today. I need to buy a gift for him. Cover me in front of my mother today, and tomorrow I'll be a punk in class. She spoke as if it went without saying, as if I had to help her. I picked up the phone and clicked, taking a photo of Gao Qinghan. Then with a cool face he said, "Done. You can go." With these words, I opened the winter chat. I was just about to send this photo from a walk. Mrs. Gao, as Gao Qinghan abruptly snatched. "Telephone. Why are you so intractable? I told you, it's Chunzi's birthday today, I'll return. Tonight at 8 o'clock. Is it so difficult for you to cover me in front of my mother? I'm cold." Grinned. "Very difficult. Madame Go is not to be trifled with. The consequences of deceiving Madame Go. In a previous life, I slept and tasted them in the eyes of Go Qinghan. The light came on, and you still say that you don't like me. When I said that I was going to Chen Zi's birthday party, there was clearly jealousy in your eyes. Madam, narcissism is a disease, and it must be treated." Gao Qinghan turned around angrily and left with my phone. "I'll be back at 8 in the evening, then you can pick up your phone. And I'll deal with my mother myself." I ran after her in rage. Gao Qinghan quickly got into the car, then pressed gas and left. My family was caught between Mrs. Gao and Gao Qinghan. I am very limited in my actions. I firmly decided that my father should resign, and I would find myself a couple more part-time jobs to earn money. Without a phone, I naturally cannot contact Mrs. Go. When I get back, I'll have to explain myself to her. Besides, I can't even take the bus without a phone. I can't buy anything. Today I will have to ask Shen Hajuan to help me. With payment, rent a bicycle to get home. I thought that the eldest had not seen me for 3 days, so he is unlikely to seek a meeting. And at this time, Susievi, having calculated the time, came to the bus stop. After waiting 10 minutes, he boarded the bus that I could go. When the bus arrived at a familiar stop, he straightened up, peering through the front door. But until the doors closed, he never saw how. As I enter, the sagging face shows disappointment. Since the last time we got off the bus together. After meeting with Gazenhan, I no longer took the bus. Is he avoiding me, or is it because of Gazenhan, on purpose, to stay away from me? Finally, she found my account on Ditsa and sent message how that pot is doing lately. With neon lights, don't forget to expose it to the sun. Make sure it doesn't burn. After sending this quite ordinary message, she became with anxiously waiting for an answer. However, the whole morning passed, and Su Xiaowei still did not receive answer. She waited until the evening, but I never answered. Xu Xiaowei suffered all day. She finally decided to send another message and ask, "Why don't you answer? You didn't let him die, right?" This time the answer came quickly. A message came from the other side. "Don't write to torment anymore. The face is drooping and darkened." She sent back a question mark, followed by red exclamation mark. Mukin blocked her. Wait, someone else took it. His phone and blocked me. Who is this? Gao Qinghan. Mukin really likes him. They together now. At the school gate, after saying goodbye to Shun Haoshuan, I am alone. Rode home on a rental bike. When I was waiting at the intersection, green light, Su Xiaowei, who was standing on the bus, saw me on a bicycle. Su Xiaowei couldn't believe it. Am I really doing this to avoid meeting her already? Do I ride to school and back on a rental bike? I pedaled slowly. Suddenly I heard someone called out to me from the side of the road. It was a woman's voice, cold, low, and it seems a dreamy beta. Suddenly someone's hand lay on the side of my bicycle, and I stopped immediately. Raising my head, I met the gaze of Susievi. At Susievi, there was a complex expression on his face. Have you been riding your bike to school lately? And back? It's so far. How much time do you have? Leaves. She wanted to find out from me whether I was afraid that Go Qinghan, since she's angry, and therefore I don't want to meet her on the bus. That's why I'm riding my bike home. If so, She won't take the bus anymore. I didn't know then that from my account to Ditsa, Su Xiaowei was blocked. Senior, what are you doing here? Su Xiaowei answered guilty. She was just passing by. What a coincidence. I was rolling my bike next to Sujia Wei. And casually he said, when I was going to school in the morning, Boxing Han took my phone from me. Now I don't have a phone. I can't pay for travel. So I had to ask a classmate to unlock. For me, rent a bike and slowly ride home. Su Xiaowei hasn't been herself all day. She's not. I expected such an answer. That is, Gao Qinghan has your phone number, I nodded. He constantly skips classes, and Mrs. Gao asked me to look after him, but when he found out, he was got angry and took my phone away so I couldn't contact Ms. Gao. Ha ha ha. So that's the thing. Su Xiaowei was not secretly happy. Luckily, she just decided to get off the bus to find me and find out everything. Suddenly, small drops of rain began to fall from the sky. Su Xiaowei raised her head and looked at the sky. Rain went. Don't get on the bike. Let's go and hide somewhere. You had dinner. I nodded obediently and already had dinner. Su Xiaowei had no choice but to ask again, and the dairy. I was drinking tea. This question seemed a little strange to me. I didn't drink today. Then let's go. I'll treat you to milk. Tea. The rain has already started. Drip, drip. People on the street are scattering. Su Xiaowei dragged me behind. Yourself. A crowd of people has already gathered at the entrance to the shopping center. Hiding from the rain, Su Xiaowei, tugging at the sleeve squeezed inside. There was a strange atmosphere in the milk tea cafe. We both silently looked at the rain outside the window. In fact, we only met a couple of times. I didn't know. I also had no idea what to say and what Su Xiaowei was thinking. And I, who was dragged by Su Xiaowei to the shopping center to wait out rain, and did not suspect that Gao Qinghan, who celebrated Chun Jie's birthday, was actually very annoyed. Chun Jie knew that Gao Qinghan had always liked him very much. But before that he just led her by the nose. He didn't agree to the relationship, but lately suddenly felt threatened because he discovered that Gao Qinghan values that driver's son more than he thought. And so, taking advantage of the occasion of his birthday, Chun Jie decided to directly announce their relationship, but to his surprise, Sun Han was not happy at all when she heard this. She looked at the rain outside the window and frowned slightly, and she took out a phone with a broken screen from her pocket. Chen Zizi looked at the phone in Gao Qing's hands in surprise. Han, his alarm immediately went off. Qing Han, whose phone it is? Gao Qinghan was confused. Mukin, this is the son of that driver of yours. Why is his phone number at your place? Gao Qinghan turned on the phone screen. She saw that it was already 8:40. In the morning, to prevent the torment, inform Mrs. Gao that she skips class to spend time with Chun Jie. She forcibly took his phone away. And now it's so late, and it's raining outside. I wonder how the torment is. Gao Qinghan began to worry. She wanted to stay with Chun Jie, but she had to return. In the end, she said, Chun Sei, maybe you'll come with me? You stay with me today, and tomorrow I will take you to study. Chun Sei froze for a moment. He only visited the old mansion of the Gao family when he was a child, and having grown up, he never came there again, it seems, for this time Gao Qinghan really wanted to consummate their relationship. When they returned, it was already 9:30 in the evening. The first thing Gao Qinghan said when she saw the butler was, Call Torment to me. Mistress, the tormentor has not returned yet. Has not returned yet. Gao Qinghan immediately became angry. He promised to return at 8 in the evening, which is why she was in such a hurry to return from the hotel together with Chun Jie and eventually himself. Not yet. The butler hurriedly began to explain, Madam, already. It's so late, and it's raining too. The torment probably didn't have an umbrella with him. I'll call and find out where he is and ask the driver to pick him up. Him as soon as the butler dialed the number like hers in. My phone rang in my pocket. She turned it off with irritation. Don't mind him. If he doesn't have an umbrella, he can't buy it. Having said this, she suddenly remembered that I couldn't do without a phone. Buy nothing. Okay, I'd better go pick him up to school myself, butler. And then he stopped her. Madam, it's better not to. Miss Go is still waiting for you. Miss Go all day long was in no mood because she couldn't get in touch with Go Ching Han, and with me too. And now, having seen Go Ching Han, and there is also Chun Jia, she became completely gloomy. Then the butler turned to Chun Jia. Mr. Chun, I have already prepared for you. Guest room. Maybe you should go to yours first. Room to rest. Chung Zez looked at Go Ching Han with resentment. Ching Han, can I go to your room? The butler said this is inappropriate. Madame Go is already furious. It's like adding fuel to the fire, but Go Ching Han ignored the old butler's gaze and reminded. Sorry, from Zay, I can't compose you yet. Company. Go and rest in my room for now. I'll go and tell you. With Mom. At this time, Susiava and I were sitting in a coffee shop. Susiava took the initiative. The rain is coming so soon. It won't end in just sitting and waiting. Let's go. Let's go upstairs and watch a movie. It seems to me that we are not yet close enough to walk together. To the cinema. Siavoy, you don't have to stay with me. I can wait for the rain to stop myself, you. I forgot the last time I came across. On the bus. Bastard, it's late. You alone, and even without a phone, it's so unsafe. Are you really going to return by bike? Su Xiaowei looked at me seriously. Her gaze said. Slight strobe. Meeting her gaze, I instinctively shook his head. Su Xiaowei immediately stood up. Let's go. Let's just go have a look. Movie. How about that popular anime that came out recently? It all seemed strange to me. I and Ratani managed to open it when Su Xiaowei buried his head into the phone. She said, the session is in 20 minutes. You can still buy tickets. Would you like some popcorn? Oh no, I won't. I just couldn't keep up with Xu Xiaowei's train of thought. How is it that in one sentence she asked? Do I want to? And have I already bought tickets for the next one? Okay, then we won't buy it. Let's go upstairs first. I wanted to say something, but changed my mind and obediently went after Xu Xiaowei. Looking at me like this, Su Xiaowei felt like something jolted in her chest. She admitted to herself that she was acting a little badly. I was her type. The day she first saw me on the bus, her heart sank. She even planned how she would gradually achieve. But plans are plans, and life brings its own criticisms. Now, she just wanted to speed up the process. It was almost 11 when the movie ended. Evening, the rain outside had almost stopped. Xu Xiaowei said guilty, made you watch. There's a movie with me. I didn't think we'd be so late. Your family won't worry. I shook my head. I called. The absence of his phone, he will not worry. The film was very interesting. It allowed me to forget about the affairs of the Gao family. But now, I still have to go back and face with the wrath of Mrs. Gao. Xu Xiaowei took out the phone. You go back to the family home. Gao, tell me the address. I'll call a taxi and send you home. At 11:30 at night, I finally returned to the old Gao family mansion. Get out of the car, I thanked. And Xu Xiaowei said goodbye. I felt a little uneasy. I thought about how Xia is and how good she is. I watched the car and only then turned and went to the Gu family's house. As soon as I entered the gate, I was scared to death by a dark figure standing at the door. I turned my head with slight tension and saw Go Ching Han. She stood in the doorway with a gloomy face and glared at me. Miss Gu, what are you doing here? Go Ching Han's voice was icy. I told you to be back at 8. Why are you so late? It always seems to me that lately the attitude of Gao Ching Han is somehow strange to me. Mrs. Gao, this is my personal business. I don't have to report to you. Do I? You can already return. My phone, my gaze touched Gao Qinghane. He took out his phone, but was in no hurry to give it to me. Instead, he stared at me, stone-faced. Asked whose hat you were wearing. I froze for a moment. And then it dawned on me. I still had my hat on. Oh, I was walking today. Rain, and I didn't have a phone to buy an umbrella, one. A kind senior student lent me her hat. Having said this, I stepped forward and grabbed the phone. From the hands of Gotsenhan. Gotsenhan remembered the girl with whom I was traveling on the bus. Is it really just a kind senior student? Just think. Give a hat for several thousand. It looks like she really is kind. I froze. Come on. Hat for several thousand. Gotsenhan, sorry. Grinned. Why didn't you go with me in the car? Oh, so you found someone better to fawn on. Think what you want, huh? If such mockery lifts your spirits, then consider it. That I did a good deed today. Gio Qinghan's mood deteriorated even more. I've always been so soft. When I managed to change so much, tonight he brought. Chen Jia went home and had already quarreled with the lady. Gao. In the end, Gio Qinghan slammed the door in anger and left, and I still didn't return. He couldn't reach me, not even paying attention to the resting person in his. Chen Jia's room came out to wait for me at the gate of the villa, but he never expected this to happen. I went inside and saw Chen Jia standing at the entrance into the Gao family garden, as if he was waiting for someone. Chen Jia ran up to Gao Qinghan. Qinghan, I heard. You were arguing with your mom. You heard her say that. Well, kick me out. And you still didn't come back. I felt a little scared. Alone. Maybe you can take me home today. I won't be here anymore. Live. Your mother seems very unhappy. I watched coldly. Behind them. Gotsenhan finally brought Chung home to the lady. Gao will probably be heartbroken today with anger. Gotsenhan hugged Chung and began to console him. Adds, you don't need to leave. I brought you. Why on earth? My mother will kick you out. Come with me. If mom tells you anything else, I'll go to grandpa. After receiving Gio Qinghana's promise, Chen Jia calmed down. I looked at this idiot and loved Gio Qinghane and thought whether his mind was clouded. Turning around, I went to my room. I took out phone to find a contact with Yuzhuwei, but could not. At that moment, I received a friend request. It was with Yuzhuwei. I frowned. When did I manage to remove this from Yuzhuwei? Is this really Gao Qinghane's doing? I accepted the request and sent her a message. Senior, you're already home. Su Xiaowei replied very quickly. Finally you. The phone was returned. Yes, I'm already home. Thanks for your concern. I hesitated for a long time, but still decided to translate. From Su Xiaowei, 200 yuan. I'm so grateful for you today, eldest. This is for a movie ticket and for travel. I hope you will accept. Su Xiaowei did not accept my translation. There is no need to return anything to me. I would like you to. Next time she invited me to a movie or dinner. Fine. Yes, sure. Senior, I will invite you to dinner tomorrow, Sujia. Wei received a satisfactory answer and smiled discreetly. Okay, we agreed. The next day at the Jiu house, a performance was brewing. Mrs. Go got up early. She called from Wuritsky. What happened last night? Shenzhe didn't leave. They spent the night together, after all. Voretsky nodded helplessly. The young lady did not allow. God, let us see you off. Madame Go's face darkened with anger. There is nothing wrong. Is that Qinghan is dating someone, but it cannot be allowed. For the baby to appear, Shenzhe's father is about to sit down. To prison. Contacting such a family is unfortunate for. My grandson cannot have a criminal grandfather, madam. Gu thought for a long time, then suddenly raised her head. Find our family doctor and let him prescribe some medicine. When I left the room, it was by chance. I heard several maids talking quietly. The lady seems to be in a good mood today, but I thought the lady would be angry when she saw that Mr. Chin came down from above, didn't expect them to have breakfast together. A complex feeling flashed through my eyes. In the past, in his life, Gao Qinghan did not bring Chin home. Both of them, right up to their departure abroad, never made up their minds with your relationships. And soon after that, Gao Qinghan started dating with me. When we started dating and I first came to the estate, Gao family, Mrs. Gao was also very polite to me. She even invited me to stay for dinner. Then I thought that Ms. Go really accepted me. But in the end, she harmed my health, and Go Qinghan, having learned the truth, he only said that he could not do anything. His mother brushed the matter aside with one word. This time by a drugged man. Cheng Zi has become, I wonder what Go Qinghan will do. I pushed these thoughts away and got ready to leave. But the butler ran up and stopped me. Mukin, Madam wants to talk to you. Come with me. I followed the butler into the living room. Mrs. Gao had breakfast with Qinjie and Gao Qinghan. She looked at Qinjie with kindness. I had not. Was against you. It's just that Qinghan is still too young. I was worried that he will give up his studies because of the relationship. Mrs. Gao's attitude has changed dramatically. Chunze was a little puzzled. Auntie, I understand. I will make sure Qinghan studies well. In fact, even though they slept in the same bed, Gao Qinghan did not allow Chunze to touch. To yourself. Here. Mrs. Gao pushed a cup of bird soup into the nest. To Chunze. Her gaze was full of maternal love. Eat some soup. You need to gain strength. You're so skinny. Chun and Zhe accepted the cup with a smile and obediently began. There is. Gao Qinghan, who was sitting next to him, frowned. It would seem that Chun is with Zhe next to him, and his mother accepted him, but I didn't understand why everyone was still feeling irritated. Before I walked in, Gao Qinghan immediately straightened up when he saw me. I did not look at him and politely addressed Mrs. Gao. Madam, did you call me for some business? Mrs. Gao smiled. I heard about yesterday. Qinghan took your phone. So you don't take pictures of him in class anymore, right? I nodded calmly. Gao Qinghan frowned with displeasure. Mom, are you going to let him continue to follow me? Mrs. Gao shook her head. Of course not. I just want to say that you can't do that. Offend torment. Why was it necessary to take away from a person for no reason? It's so inconvenient without a phone. With these words, Mrs. Gio took out a new phone. I saw that your phone screen was cracked, so I bought you a new one. And also in gratitude for the fact that you looked after outside Qinghan in recent days. From today, you no longer need to follow him. Chunze will help me look after him. At this moment, Chunze, who had already finished his bird soup nestled, smiled sweetly. Auntie, don't worry, I will definitely see to his studies. In my heart, I smiled coldly, but I showed obedience on my face and said, Thank you, madam. Then I will go to school. Gao Qinghan immediately stood up behind him. His movements were a little hasty. It's late. I also have to go to school. Shinzi also got up. But the next second he grabbed his stomach. His face instantly turned pale. Qinghan, I also have pain. Don't worry. I'll take you to the hospital now. Driver, quickly, to the hospital. The driver, seeing in the rearview mirror that Jie didn't feel well, couldn't help but asked, Mr. Chun, did you eat something wrong? Before he could finish speaking, Chunjie panicked. Blurted out. Nope, probably not. I only ate a bowl of swallow soup today. Nests. With these words, he looked at. With a shocked look. Gao Qinghan. Gao Qinghan's face darkened as he finally remembered. Something from a past life. He remembered how he once brought me to the Gu family's house. After dinner with his mother, I also started having creepy pain in the abdomen. Then they did all the tests, and only after. 3 days later it turned out that I had taken an overdose. Medicine. Because of this, Gao Qinghan is very much with me. Quarreled. He thought that I had taken this medicine myself. Then I suspected that Madame Go did this, but Gao Qinghan didn't believe it. Now Gao Qinghan was looking at Chun Zi's symptoms, which were exactly like mine in his memories. Chun Zi said in a weak voice, "Qinghan, maybe with that. Was there something wrong with the bowl of soup?" Gao Qinghan suddenly shouted, "Stop! Driver, you first take me from Z to the hospital. I'll be there soon. I'll come." And he took long strides back to his old home and the Go family. Meanwhile, Mrs. Go ordered the maids to remove dishes. Gao Qinghan stared at the maid with a cold face. Wait. Leaving the bowl Chenjia was eating from, Madame Go looked surprised. Looked at her son. Gao Qinghan looked frighteningly gloomy. Answer me. You slipped the medicine into the subchenji. Qinghan, you've completely lost your head in love. You're hopeless. Student Zhe has a stomach ache, and you immediately suspect that it was I who poisoned him. I'm your own mother. And you doubt me so much, yes? In a past life, Mrs. Gao got off with the same words from Gao Qinghan, then Gao Qinghan chose the side mother. But now, strong remorse and guilt have overwhelmed his mind. We were together for 5 years, and I couldn't get pregnant. Ms. Gu then said that she was not embarrassed by my origin. She agreed for me to join their family, but with one condition: we had to have a child. Gu Qinghanya's chest heaved with anger. Yes, you are my own mother. You wouldn't do something like that. Today you said that you agree to my relationship with you, TSC, and in the future you will agree to our marriage. But with one condition: we must have our own child. Right? Madame Gu froze. How could Gao Qinghan know about her plans? Gao Qinghan, in the form of his mother's facial expression, did not see. Roared, "You're even human. How can you be like that? Cruel? I saw this family drama coming in the Jiuyu house, but I'm not interested. In this life, everything related to the Jiuyu family has no connection. Nothing to do with me. When I got on the bus, I instinctively started looking for Xu Xiaowei. And sure enough, she was standing on the platform. She was just looking in my direction. I pushed my way towards her. Sister Su, good morning. A flashed in Su Xiaowei's eyes. Smile. Good morning, Sister Shui. I took your hat home, washed it yesterday, but today has not yet dried. As it will dry tomorrow, I tell you. I'll return it. Su Xiaowei looked at me and said with a smile, Okay, Mukin, you have steam during the day. I shook my head. No, but I'm going to work during the day. To the restaurant. What restaurant do you work at? At a restaurant called Xinjianinhua. You've probably heard of him? Xu Xiaowei was silent for a moment. Even if she had never heard of it, this restaurant was opened by her mother. When Su Xiaowei and I got out of the car, Su Xiaowei again, I asked, will you now work every evening? In Xinjianinhua. I nodded. Yes, they require me to work from family until 9 in the evening. Su Xiaowei nodded and said nothing more. After breaking up, they went their separate ways at the university. Gao Qinghan didn't show up today. Of course, I guessed that in the next few days she is unlikely to come. Chen Zhe will remain in the hospital for at least 3 days, and then it will be time for him to go abroad with his mother. In her previous life, Gossenhan harbored a grudge against Chenjia for the fact that he left without saying goodbye, and she remembered. This has been going on for many years. Now she finally had the chance to properly say goodbye to Chenjia. When the couple ended, Shun Hajuan continued to gossip with me. He said he heard it here in the gossip chat. It is said that Chenjia is from the nearby Polytechnic and Gossenhan are now officially together. Someone saw them in the hospital that belongs to the family Gao, and they say that this is Chense. Shen Hajuan spoke more and more quietly. He leaned towards my ear and whispered, they say that this Chense had an allergic reaction to some pills. That's why he was admitted to the hospital under a drip. Shin Hajuan sighed. You can't tell, right? This is how these golden youth have fun. I was completely shocked. In your gossip chat even this. No. And even the fact that Chun Jie took the pills was in the hospital. There is no medical confidentiality for the Gao family? Shin Hajuan said mysteriously. Mukin, you don't know this. Although the hospital belongs to the Gao family, it still has. There are other shareholders. Besides, so many guys like Ms. Gao, they are jealous of Qin Jie and want to leak information about him. When there are many people, the power is great. What can they not dig up when Shin Hajuan is? I said, I understand everything. After all, in a past life, when I was in the hospital, rumors, they also spread about me everywhere. Kinda like the driver's son chasing fame and fortune, Angachi seducing Mrs. Gu, and the like. Then the rumors became even more ridiculous. They said that my entrance exam results. Fake that I entered the university under someone else's name. I shook my head and sighed as I said to Shin Haoshuan, don't get involved in this. Listen, and that's enough. The Gu family is not someone we can easily discuss. Shin Haoshuanki sighed, without looking up from the phone. Don't worry, I understand everything. Gotsun Han did not go to university and did not even return home. I had 2 more quiet days. But soon I saw Gotsun Han again this time. This happened in the Jinjininho restaurant, where I worked part-time. I was wearing a black waiter's uniform, clearing away plates and cutlery. Gotsun Han came along with Un Yutong and a stranger in a separate restaurant office. On the way to the office, Gotsun Han accidentally glanced and saw me putting away the dishes. Song Yutong said in surprise, Qing Han, Torment is here. Works part-time. Does he need money so badly? The stranger pushed Sun. Yutong, why are you so talkative? Let's go quickly. Song Yutong glanced at Go Qing Han, realizing that she was not in a good mood, so she fell silent. Things have been going wrong for Go Qing Han for the past couple of days. Chen Jie spent 2 days in the hospital on a drip. The doctor said the medicine had taken a toll on his body. Great harm, and now he will have a long recovery and take care of himself, but in the near future he will definitely lose ability to conceive. And this near future, according to the doctor, is actually, in reality, means 1 or 2 years. But Gotsun Han knew that in a past life I had whole. I couldn't get him pregnant for 5 years. If the same thing happens to the very central Z, then he will sooner or finds out the truth late. How can I explain everything to him then? Chen Jie was discharged today and returned to his family home. Chen to recover. Gotsun Han hid the fact to Patsugo something. He felt sick. He didn't know how to explain this to Chen Jie, and did not know how to look into the eyes of the exhausted Chen Jie, but more importantly, he suddenly desperately wanted see me. Looking at me delivering trays in the distance, and humiliatedly, I explained something to the customers about the dishes, Gotsun Han. Suddenly he felt rage boiling inside him. With a gloomy face, he left Song Yutong and the stranger, and walked towards me. Today I came across one unbearable client of average years. Instead of ordering normally, she always asked me, are you new here? Yes, before you. I didn't see it. You are a student from the local university. I nodded with a smile. Yes, ma'am. So what will you order? She grinned and said. At such a young age you already work part-time in a restaurant. There's not enough money at all, and probably a big loan. I took it to study. You can pay it off yourself. I've already had difficulty managing it. Keep a smile. Holding back, I said, you don't have to worry about it. Ma'am, maybe you should look at what you'd like to eat first. I'll come over a little later to take your order. Having said this, I turned around to leave, but then this client suddenly exclaimed, Hey, I didn't say I wouldn't order. What kind of service is this? Honestly, I've only been working here for 2 days, but this is the first time facing such an unbearable client. I was about to to go get the manager when suddenly I saw that Gausenhan with an icy face. He suddenly kicked the woman's wooden table. The table immediately turned over. I retreated 2 shugas, shocked at Gotsenkin. "Young man, what are you doing?" With these words, I rushed towards him to push out him, but Gotsenkin, on the contrary, shielded me with himself. He looked gloomily at that woman and said, "She has come. Eat normally. If you don't want to eat, get out from here." The woman jumped to her feet. She stuck her finger in Gotsenhan. "And what a dog you are. It's about how I eat. You dare to kick my table." "Yes, you know who I am." There were 2 more next to her. Her friends. All 3 menacingly headed towards Gausenhani. In the last days, Gausenhan could barely contain himself, and this time could not stand it. Without saying a word, he with all his strength. I punched her in the face, and I was simply dumbfounded. At that very moment, a fight broke out, and Song Yutong saw it. An alien. Song Yutong passed out, fucking, and without further ado, rushed to help. The alien followed her. The scene became even more chaotic. I quickly contacted the duty manager. Duty manager hastily came running with 4 or 5 guards. After making incredible efforts, they finally succeeded in there. To separate, that woman was beaten to bruises because that Gausenhan from the very beginning, everyone only clung to him. The middle-aged woman's clothes were all wrinkled, furious. He shouted, "Police! I'll call the police." This incident caused a real commotion. All the restaurant visitors began to turn around. They started whispering. Hearing this, the restaurant manager ran out in a panic from his office. At first glance, he saw, standing in the center of the crowd, Gausenhan, and his heart skipped a beat. The manager quickly. Gausenhan walked up and said with a surprised face, "Miss Go, how did you end up here so suddenly today? They didn't even warn me in advance." There was, in his voice, some concern. After all, a young lady from a wealthy family like Gausenhan always had, specially in the restaurant, a separate booth reserved for her. As to the restaurant's epic client, Gausenhan was always there for the manager, object of special attention. Because of this incident, he did not at all want to bear the wrath of this important guest. However, when the manager's gaze fell on Gausenhan, his face immediately turned pale and cold sweat appeared. He saw that Gausenhan's hair and clothes were in some disarray. Obviously, she had just experienced a violent fight. Who is so fearless that he dared to raise his hand at the eldest daughter of the Go family? The manager's heart is furious. Started pounding. Stuttering, he said, "Let's go." What actually happened here?" The manager's voice was full of panic and worry. He understood perfectly well that Go Qinghan, the apple of aka Mrs. Gao, if Lady Go finds out that her precious daughter got into a fight here and even got her lip broken, then the consequences will be simply unimaginable. Mrs. Gu will definitely be furious and maybe even come here in person to demand an explanation. Meanwhile, that middle-aged woman was still screaming fiercely. "So you are the restaurant manager. Great, why are you here? I ate calmly in your restaurant, and what happened in the end? Not only did your employee ignore me, but his girlfriend also attacked me with fists. I will call police. I will sue you." The restaurant manager frowned. He turned his head and looked at me. I was about to explain myself when suddenly Gutsenhan blocked me with herself and gloomily stared at that woman. "What does this have to do with?" "Waiter, I wanted to beat you because you were too annoying." "In your face. Do you want to sue me?" "Well, go ahead, try it." "Suing you," and Tuna frowned. She immediately took out her phone and said, "Okay, that's enough. I'll call my lawyer right away. He'll sort it out with you. And we are hungry and want to eat." The manager understood perfectly well that with these young ladies, jokes are bad. He made an instant decision. He immediately ordered the guard, "Take the 3 of them to the office in the back restaurant." Then he turned to me and said a little sternly, Tuns, come on over. Listen carefully, you must serve Ms. Gu by the highest category, so that there is not the slightest mistake, understand? I nodded hastily. The manager understood. Strong in spirit, she exhaled with relief and turned around, and hurried after those 3 beaten women. Together they entered the office. She understood perfectly well that this should not be allowed on gravity, otherwise it will not only affect the reputation, restaurant, but may also bring unnecessary troubles. And what's even more important, I don't dare so easily make an enemy for myself in the person of such a influential family like Gu. So now is the best way, is to start with these 3 battered clients, talk, be amicable with them about compensation, try as much as possible, quickly hush this matter up. In the worst case, just paying more is better than to make an enemy in the Gu family. Xinjian Yanhua Club, due to good privacy. Many rich and famous people love to dine and party here. Negotiation. Meeting rooms here rent for 5 figures. Amount per day? Many people want to do business with stars or establish connections with the rich. That's why they come here. If people find out that their club members were beaten up in a restaurant, then this will deal a huge blow to one's reputation. The restaurant manager followed the manager, Van, and quietly asked, Manager, what are we going to do with that new intern? Manager Wang was very annoyed. Although it was the client's fault, that new intern managed to getting into trouble on the first day of work. He said impatiently, forget it. Pay him his salary and tell him not to come again. The manager nodded. Okay, manager, I'll do it now. I'll sort it out. The manager came out to look for me, but didn't find me. Only then, he found out that I know Gao Sinhan, and she has already called me into a separate room. Then he came to the door again, Gao Sinhan's room, and saw that it was closed from the inside. Gao Sinhan's voice came, so what if I hit him? Mukin, you also reproach me. I helped you. Or did you want him to help you with a loan? Oh, so that's the kind of person you are. I looked at her silently, and yet I calmly said, Mrs. Gao, I didn't mean to reproach you. It's just that today, everything has gone too far. When we get back, mistress can start me again. Questioning as soon as I mentioned the lady, Gao Qinghan suddenly hit the table. There was a loud knock. Song Yutong frowned. Qinghan, calm down. Gao Sinhan smiled coldly. She stared at me and asked, Mukin, are you such an obedient boy? My mother, whatever she says, you do. Gao Sinhan looked at me, so obedient and flexible, and simply went crazy with anger. She thought, what a pity that he was not reborn and does not know how in a past life he was betrayed, set up, and even maimed, depriving him of the opportunity to have children. If only he had known, then perhaps now he would have completely didn't listen to my parents. I said calmly, I don't obey the lady. I'm just tired of it. Precisely because I don't want mistress to pestered me. I hope that you will stop arranging. Problems are in front of my eyes. Gao Qinghan, I really don't want to know what you did. It would be better if you just stayed away from me. Further away. Gao Qinghan stared at me with red eyes. You are saying this out of anger. I don't believe it. But I always like to take care of her. I didn't let. She didn't allow her to stay late, didn't allow her to drink, didn't let her. She has to conflict with her parents. I was very worried about her when she got sick and got to the hospital. I looked after her days and nights. She was in my heart. She was very dear to me. Gao Qinghan sat there and did not take his eyes off me. You're saying this on purpose to make me angry. I asked with a straight face, Mukin, so what are you thinking? Mr. Gao, I'm actually working, then I'll go. With these words, I opened the door and went out into the corridor. I made eye contact with the restaurant manager. He said awkwardly, Mukin, do you know Mr. How? I nodded embarrassedly. He is my classmate. The manager seemed to think we didn't look right, just like classmates, but the manager did not. Question. He said with difficulty, torment. Today's incident made a lot of noise. This will have a very bad effect on the restaurant's reputation. Our boss doesn't know yet, but he will definitely call us. To answer, you are an intern, this will not affect you, but rather, basically, you won't be able to work here anymore. The manager said this very delicately, but I understood everything. I haven't even worked 2 days, and I've already been fired, unexpectedly. But at the same time, it is natural. This was my first part-time job. I didn't expect it to be like this. Will end. It was a little disappointing, but I quickly pulled myself together and apologized guiltily to the manager. Sorry. It was you who hired me, and I ended up delivering you so much hassle. The manager immediately waved his hands. Nothing. Don't apologize. We all know it's not your fault, but it can't be helped. The members of our club are difficult people. We, the workers, service industries, must be able to tolerate insults. Some companies even have a special bonus for the moral damage to employees. Can you imagine how much? Listen to service personnel. In a separate room, there was a dim yellow light, also served with an oppressive atmosphere. Gao Qinghan sat with a cold, gloomy face, looking like on a volcano, ready to erupt. He had just survived a violent fight. The skin between the thumb and forefinger on his clenched fist burst from tension, and from there slowly oozed dark red blood. It looked creepy. The corner of his mouth also turned blue. It was a mark from a strong blow. Now he was slightly swollen and looked quite fierce. Seeing this, the waiter hurriedly brought ice and carefully handed out him, offering to put it to his face to remove edema. Song Yutong and the stranger remained nearby. There were also scratches and marks on their arms and necks. Recent brawl, but compared to Gauzenhan, they got off easy. After all his injuries were on his face, and therefore especially striking. Those two didn't have a scratch on their faces. If not, look at the scratches on the body. No one would have guessed that they had just been involved in a violent fight. Gao Qinghan casually threw the ice on the table. Cupcul. Yes, they hit the tabletop with a ringing sound. In the silence of the room, this sound sounded especially sharp. His face became even gloomier. He said coldly, he saw me fight for him, and how I was wounded. But he didn't even bring me medicine. His voice sounded resentment and disappointment. But even this ice was brought by another waiter. But he never showed up. In Guolu Qinghan's heart, it was as if there was a heavy stone lying there. I felt so uneasy. Thoughts of their own accord fled into the past, into my previous life. How attached I was to him then. One day he got hurt. I got so excited that my eyes turned red. Tears welled up in my eyes, and in the end, I couldn't hold back, and burst into tears. Not only did I immediately run for the medicine, but when I returned, carefully treated his wound. I moved so carefully, afraid of hurting him at least. The slightest pain. Even when his parents scolded him completely, I remained silent and obedient. Waited outside the door. And when he came out, I consoled him, gave him my warm. At that time I had not yet worked part-time. Life was simple and clear. In my eyes and in my heart there was only him, the heart of Gao Qinghan. It skipped a beat. So much has changed in this life. Everything is completely not like in my previous life. Was the tormentor, like me, also reborn? But as soon as this thought arose, he himself discarded it. No, it's impossible, Gao Qinghan thought subconsciously. If, for me to really be reborn, then with my hatred to my parents, I would never agree to live in the house, Gao family, and certainly would not listen to orders. Mother, at this moment Song Yeltong looked at Gao Qinghan, and frowning slightly, said, Qinghan, today? You acted very rashly. Do you even know that the restaurant belongs to the Su family? You caused a scandal here. If they contact your father, there will be big trouble. There was concern and reproach in her voice. Gao Qinghan froze for a moment, and a flashed in his eyes. Surprise, he involuntarily asked again, This restaurant belongs to Su family. In his head, the image of Susievi immediately appeared. Which Su family exactly? Could this be the family of the same Susievi whom he knows? Seeing his reaction, Suanya and Thumki were smitten. Their family has been running the networks for generations. Restaurants. He knows almost all restaurant companies. In Haichun like the back of his hand, he leaned slightly and lowered his voice. The main business of the SU family is artificial intelligence and new energy sources. They are very famous in these areas, but some years ago they suddenly entered the grain and restaurant business. They say it's because their youngest in the family is they opened this restaurant with their own funds. I don't know if this has something to do with Xu Xiaowei. After all, her surname is also Su, and in the world there are all sorts of coincidences happen. The stranger standing nearby frowned and doubted. Said, it can't be, the Su family is so huge. Corporation, they work in so many areas, such rich and influential family. Would they really allow their child to study agriculture? I heard that Xu Xiaowei seems to be growing. This is too big a gap, in her opinion. Children from wealthy families are mainly engaged in his family's business. Studying agriculture is simply unthinkable. Suinyu and Tun suffered. Thoughtfulness was visible in his eyes. I don't know this, my family never had affairs with the Su family. They are not from Haichun, they are from Beichun, and their main influence is concentrated there, Gao Qinghan and the rest. Natives of Haichun, so they never communicated with the younger generation of the Isu family. But deep down they all thought it was more likely of all, not Taisa Siwei. After all, what kind of high society family would allow your daughter to learn how to farm? This is simply unheard of, incredible. Hearing this, Gazenhan suddenly jumped up in a low voice. He said, I'll go out and have a look. Having said this, he walked with long steps towards the exit from the booth, and his pace was a little hasty. After Gazenhan left, reigned in the booth. Brief silence. The alien, scratching the back of her head, looked at Yutong's dream and quietly said, Yutong, don't you think that Sinhan somehow has a strange attitude towards torment? There was curiosity in her gaze, Suinyu and Tun face. It immediately became dark. There was dissatisfaction in his voice. He himself did not can decide between torment and Chunzi. And he cares about this and cannot let him go. If he keeps this up, he'll end up missing both of them. Then it will be too late to regret. As he said this, something flashed in his eyes. Complex. He seemed very disappointed with Gazenhan's actions. The alien looked at Song Yutong and vaguely felt that Song Yutong seems to be dissatisfied with Gazenhan, but didn't say anything more. She just sighed mentally. At the same time, in another place, I changed clothes in the locker rooms. For the staff, carefully folded the work uniform and put away her locker. Having collected my things, I was about to leave when I suddenly took phone and looked at the screen, and I immediately frowned. There were several messages from Gao Qinghan on the screen. From his other issue, Earth. Mukin, where have you gone? Are you still in contact with Xu Xiaowei? She has this part-time job. Did you find it? Mukin, don't take the bus anymore. I'll ask my uncle. Take you to the university and back. I looked at these messages in complete bewilderment. I simply had no words. In my previous life, Gao Qinghan always despised me, even insulted, said that I was driving in the same car with him, to and from university, just to attract his attention, and now that I've stopped doing that, he's still not happy. What's happened? And anyway, why did Gao Qinghan suddenly mention Susievi? What does this have to do with the elder? I just shook my head helplessly. I didn't answer Gao Qinghan and simply left the restaurant. Gao Qinghan looked all over for me with worry in his eyes. Restaurant, but couldn't find me anywhere. A sudden thought flashed through his mind. He suspected that I might have been taken away from USIWEI. After all, this restaurant could very well belong to Susivi family. Just thinking about it, his heart felt like an invisible sting. The irritation became more and more intense. He was not at ease. He could not calm down. The food in front of him seemed to have lost both color and taste. A piece in the throat is not a forest. The booth in which they sat is now. It seemed to him like a prison cell in which he was suffocating. He could no longer sit still and brought Song Yutong out. An alien. Me, my childhood friends, at a table in the common room. Only Song Yutong and the stranger. The friends he grew up with could tolerate his antics. If it had been anyone else in their place, he would have given up long ago. His whims and this terrible, changeable mood. The alien looked with pity at the depressed Gao Qinghane. Calling the waiter from business to order, she at the same time asked, "On behalf of Gao Qinghane, where is that new intern from? University, eh? He is our classmate. He finished his shift." However, he didn't need to say anything. Everything was in the restaurant. And so they understood what kind of relationship they had. After all, just recently they started a fight with other visitors. Because of that in turn, the noise filled the entire room. The waiter, hearing their question, leaned over slightly and quietly said, "It seems he left. Because of that incident, our manager fired him." I heard sympathy in his voice. Hearing this, she was a stranger. I was stunned for a moment. She instinctively looked at Gao Qinghane. Her eyes were full of amazement. She could not restrain herself and exclaimed, "What?" He was fired. In shock, her voice involuntarily became several higher tones. The waiter just nodded quietly, confirming news. Hearing this, Suin Yu and Tuna frowned and looked at Gao Qinghan. Her gaze showed reproach. "Sung Han, this time you really went too far." She knew he only had his first worker day. He thought he would gain some experience from this part-time job, a little, earn extra money, but in the end he was fired due to impulsive Gao Qinghan's actions. It must be a very difficult time for him. Gao Qinghan's face immediately changed. A wave of waves covered him, but he immediately stubbornly abandoned. Fired so fired. All the same, in such a place the situation is too complicated. It doesn't suit him, even though he said so. In his eyes, there was a flash of concern. He involuntarily began to work himself up. Why would he even go to work? Is it really that our Go family pays the father of teaching so little? And his father doesn't give him enough money, so he had to go to work? But even though Gao Qinghan scrutinized them in words, in his soul it was restless. He sat as if on pins and needles. After a moment, he could no longer sit still. He stood up abruptly and walked towards the exit with long steps. He was about to leave the restaurant to find him. But as soon as he arrived at the door, Song Yutong quickly reacted, stepped forward, blocked his path. Song Yutong looked at Gao Qinghan with a serious, kindly said, "Qinghan, I advise you not to look now. Torment. Shinsei just left the hospital. You should visit him." In Song Yutong's opinion, Gao Qinghan was now rushing around between the tormentor and Shinjia. This behavior not only hurt both guys, and brought confusion into his own life. Hearing this, Gao Qinghan immediately became gloomy. With a gloomy face he asked, "What? And now you are stopping me? Won't you let me find him?" "Song Yutong, it's because Mukin gave you flowers at Freshers Night, so you're there too." I put my eye on it. There was anger and accusation in his voice. He spoke as if he was absolutely sure of her hidden motives. Song Yutong frowned. Her face became very stern. She looked at Gao Qinghan and said with emphasis, "Qinghan, do you even hear what you're saying? You're too impulsive and a little shy." Song Yutong noticed that as soon as it came to embarrassment, Gao Qinghan seemed to turn into another person. He always became incredibly short-tempered and completely. I was losing my usual composure. Moreover, Gao Qinghan was cold and self-centered by nature. He rarely tried to put himself in the place of another. Because of this, he very easily injured people close to him. What it causes is only rotation and pain. But he himself was completely unaware of this, continuing stubbornly act in one's own way. Go Qinghan chuckled coldly. His gaze was floor. With vision. Mind your own business. I know what I'm doing. With these words, he forcefully pushed away Song Yutong's hand and headed straight to his car. Opening the door and starting the engine, he took off. From the spot, raising a cloud of dust, the alien sharpshooter watched behind this scene and addressed Song Yutong. Yutong as, "You managed to quarrel with Qinghan. He's always been like this. The more you tell him, the less he listens." He paused and then added in surprise, "Before, you never interfered in such matters. What's gotten into you today?" Song Yutong was silent for a long time. "I just can't look at it. With his behavior, he just creates even more problems for others." There was no need to specify who he meant by others. A stranger also understood that we were talking about Torment. Hearing this, he couldn't help but look at Suanyao again. And Tone. His behavior today seemed strange to him. Usually the most silent and always kept in. Aside, this time he suddenly became so annoying. "I left the restaurant just recently," my soul felt dreary, and I headed straight to the bus stop. Standing at the bus stop, I threw my head back slightly. The gaze was directed into the distance. One by one the street lamps came on. The dim yellow light fell on my tired face, making him even more lonely. And at that moment, like a whirlwind, a red car rushed by. He drove up and stopped abruptly not far from the stop. The door swung open and Gao Xinhan got out of the car. His lips were still bruised, signs of a recent fight. But his gaze was no longer as heavy as in the restaurant. It was replaced by a complex expression in which impatience was mixed and confusion. He quickly approached me, slightly out of breath, low. In a voice he asked why you didn't answer my message. I didn't see it or didn't want to answer, I heard. In his tone, subtle resentment. I slowly turned my head and calmly looked at him. There was not a single emotion in my gaze, as if standing in front of me was a complete stranger and indifferent. "Me, a man." I said indifferently. "Mr. Go, are you doing something? Did you want more?" My tone was even, but it cut like an icy knife. Right in the heart of Gao Xinhan. Hearing such a cold answer, Gao Xinhan felt a sharp pain in his heart. He could not bear my cold. His eyebrows met on the bridge of his nose. Anger flashed across his face, mixed with resentment. Addressing the tormentor, he said, "I fought because of you. You don't want to say anything." His voice involuntarily became louder, as if he was trying to attract my attention. Glory to Go Qinghan, who almost sounded like an interrogation, silenced me. Irritation grew inside me. I lightly bit the bottom one lip. Disgust flashed in his eyes, although the fact that Gao Qinghan fought because of me tonight was a complete surprise to me. I was silent for a few seconds and took a deep breath. I tried my best to calm down while looking at Gao Qinghan and said quietly, but very firmly, "Madam Gao, don't do that again. I won't thank you. It will only cause me trouble." I watched closely into Gao Qinghan's eyes, as if trying to convey all my thoughts to him, saying exactly what was unpleasant for him. "Here, I don't need your help. In fact, if you hadn't shown up today nothing would have happened to me, and the restaurant wouldn't have such problems. Do you even understand how much inconvenience delivered your impulse to others? We are still in touch with the Public Relations Department to resolve this incident. And I lost my job because of this." My voice, although it was calm, with every word, as if the needle pierced the god Sankhana. Hearing this, he seemed petrified. His expression changed from angry to shocked. He opened his mouth slightly, wanting to say something, although my voice was soft and his emotions were under control. I felt behind this external calm my inner disgust towards him and impatience. So many days have passed since my rebirth, and he seemed to still be haunted by memories of the past life and could not get used to the current one completely. Another one for me. To the fact that I feel disgust for him in his This consciousness was simply unthinkable. How is this possible, seeing that Gossenhan is silent? I lightly pushed him away, blocking my path, and said in an even tone, "If nothing else, then I'll go." With these words, I got ready to leave. Gossenhan seemed to suddenly wake up and immediately grabbed me by the hand. His grip was so strong it was as if he wanted to crush my wrists. He kept looking at me. Panic flashed in his gaze, and he hurriedly asked, "Why did you suddenly go to work? You really need money." In my previous life, I never worked. This fact greatly puzzled him. His grip made my body tense slightly. I turned my head and gave him an unexpected answer. "I don't want to go back to Gu's house. I don't want to see you." Gu Kingania's grip immediately weakened. He froze in place, and an indescribable look appeared on his face. Complex range of feelings: shock, disappointment, and unprecedented helplessness. I pulled my hand away. Just at that moment, slowly pulled up to the stop bus. Without even looking at the room, I hurriedly jumped into it, and the always arrogant and selfish Go Qinghan remained standing in place, with pain in his eyes, watching my retreating back. I felt his gaze, which, like fetters, fettered me, but I didn't turn around. In fact, I'm a very warm-hearted person. When I first got there to the Go family and saw how Go Qinghan, who quarreled with his mother, ran away from home, even running out into the pouring rain, I couldn't stay indifferent. I followed him to console him, brought him water, and brought him an umbrella. However, my kindness did not bring me anything good. This Gossenhan is used to being an arrogant young man, master, and took other people's kindness for granted. In a past life, I was head over heels in love, but now, having been reborn, I will no longer step on the same rake. Meanwhile, at the other end of the city, from Wuxiaowei, walked quickly to the back door of the restaurant. Ranger Yanhao. The entrance guard, seeing her, nodded slightly, as if they knew each other well. He didn't stop, but immediately pushed the back door and entered the restaurant. When Su Xiaowei entered the restaurant, the riots were already settled. Those 3 beaten visitors refused compensation and continued to insist on calling the police. Manager Wang had no choice but to contact with the legal department to look into this matter. He also contacted the Jiuyu family. After all, to put it simply, this was all arranged by Jiuyu Qinghan. When the restaurant couldn't cope alone, it had to ask the Jiuyu family to intervene. In any case, the restaurant was ready to compensate, damage, and cooperate, but at too high prices. They could not comply with the demands. Arriving at the restaurant, Su Xiaowei first went into her personal booth, left her bag, and headed to the main hall, and her gaze slid over several waiters in uniform. Not seeing me, she frowned slightly. Then she looked into the kitchen, looking around at the staff. Many people here knew Su Xiaowei. Everyone thought that the boss came with a check and began to work with double the heart. At this moment, Manager Van came out of the office, only that having finished dealing with matters, seeing Su Xiaowei, he was stunned. He hurried to her and carefully asked, "Madam, you came to reprimand me. This incident is really my omission, but I thought about it. I couldn't that new intern, Ms. Gu's boyfriend. Otherwise, I wouldn't have dared to take him to work." Su Xiaowei stopped and turned head, and her dark gaze glared at Manager Van. Manager Van has worked in this field for over 10 years. Years old, but for the first time from the gaze of such a young girl. A shiver ran down his spine, feeling. He began to explain to those at fault that this matter was almost figured it out. We handed it over to the legal department and the public relations department. They will arrive soon. Su Xiaowei interrupted him. That lady, the Gao you just talked about, is Gao Qinghan, from the Gao family of Haichen. She was here, Manager Wang thought. Well, that means. I explained so much, but Madame Su is not at all aware and certainly didn't come to get me. Reprimand. Manager Van breathed a sigh of relief. He wiped away the non-existent cold sweat and said, "Dry. Yes." In the evening, the lady from the Gu family came with her friends, and her boyfriend was just in a restaurant and got into an argument with the customers. So Mrs. Gu poured and beat them. Manager Van reveals what happened tonight. In the restaurant, everything in the smallest detail. And the longer Susievi listened, the more they were haunted. She asked in an icy tone, "Those 3 visitors are so rude to openly harass our employee. And we dare to continue to serve such members. Club, we miss these 3 clients so much." Manager Van Peschel and muttered, "And no, I don't think so." There was coldness in Susievi's voice. "Blacklist them, and that in turn." "His name is Mukin." Manager Wang was even more surprised. "Yes. Madam, you know him too?" She was a little dry. Annoyed. During the day, she went with her supervisor to field to look at the plant. That's why I was late. Who would have thought that this would happen? She rubbed her forehead and said, "This intern is also having a hard time. Don't you dare blame him." Manager Wang felt a chill run down his spine again. He just wanted to hire an intern. How was he supposed to know what kind of big shot he got? To work? Why is Mrs. Gao fighting for him again? And Mrs. Su defends him from accusations, but most importantly, that he fired him, Manager Wang said, wiping the cold sweat. "Miss Su, this little guy has already been fired. I settled with him, and he left." Xu Xiaowei frowned at Manager Wang and said, she said with a sigh, "Okay, once I'm fired, I'm fired. Deal with this, and I'll go." Having said this, she turned around and hurriedly headed towards the exit. Manager Wang quickly asked, "Miss Su, would you like to have dinner before leaving? We have new dishes on the menu today, so you can try." Su Xiaowei quickly returned to the private room and grabbed her bag and walked out with long strides. Unnecessary. Another time, Su Xiaowei sent me a message, but I still didn't answer. She was a little worried about me. But apart from my heirs account, she didn't have my phone numbers. Although she knew where I lived, it was Gao Han's house, and it would be inconvenient for her to come there. Out of despair, Xu Xiaowei had no choice but to take a taxi and come to the Villa Dongshan area. When she got out of the car, it was already after 9 in the evening. She stood at the main entrance to the villa area and took out phone to look. I still haven't answered. But soon, she saw a silhouette on the side of the road. I was the one returning. I was a little annoyed. I didn't want to stir up grievances from a past life at all. And Go Qinghan kept getting in my way. Really, I stopped dead in my tracks. Flashed through my head a terrible thought. Has Guinghan also been reborn? It can't be. If Guinghan were to be reborn, she would go looking for Chen from behind to prevent him from going abroad. What's the point, if her moonlight is nearby, to come to me? Some kind of replacement? While I was thinking this way, suddenly in the night wind I heard, as someone's cold female voice calls me, raising head, I saw under a dim street lamp nearby, standing Susievi. There was a complex expression on Susievi's face, and with wide steps she came up to me and stood intently. Peering into my face, I opened my eyes in surprise. "Senpai, how did you happen to be here?" Susievi was silent for 2 seconds and said, "Today I have birthday. There's going to be a party. I was wondering if you'd like to come." I was even more surprised. "Oh, that's how it is. Well, happy birthday, senpai." Having said that, I stretched to his bag and rummaged through it, but found nothing. I finally took the chicken keychain off my backpack. Blushing, I handed it to Wuxieve. "Happy birthday, senpai." I didn't know. That's why I didn't buy you a gift. This keychain is a chicken. It was taken away in a past life. Go Qinghan. But in this one I wanted to keep it for myself. Xu Xiaowei looked at the chicken keychain in my hand. The chicken keychain was yellow with a red stripe around the neck. He had a straw hat on his head, and he was all like fluffy, and a small bell hung from his neck. He looked very nice. Su Xiaowei immediately, without changing her face, reached out her hand and took keychain. I felt her warm fingers touch mine. Hands. I shuddered and pulled my hand away. Su Xiaowei looked at me and noticed that my pikes blushed. She lowered her head slightly and quickly hung up the keychain, chicken on her shoulder bag, and said quietly, "This. What you need. I really like it." And I thought that even giving such a keychain was somehow awkward. But it seems that Sim Peijuan really liked it. "So model," Su Xiaowei asked me, "we're going to karaoke. Are you with us?" Even though it was a question, she didn't look away from me. Her gaze was full of expectation, and now I'm in the mood. It was just terrible. If Mrs. Go finds out that Go Qinghan got into a fight in a restaurant because of me, then who knows if they'll add some. She secretly gave me something to eat. I immediately nodded. "I'm coming." When we set out, Su Xiaowei nodded and called a taxi. Through the application on the phone, at that moment he suddenly regretted that he quarreled with his parents because of his desire to study agriculture. When he ran away from home, he should have pick up your Maybach and drive away with it. After all, his grandfather gave this car to him, not for his parents. Same money. He could calmly take her, constantly travel with his torment. By taxi is not an option. He still has to rent an apartment and carry the torment everywhere. Have fun. No, you still need to buy a car, especially money. He still has it. While thinking about this, he sent a message to his group. "Chat, it's my birthday today, KTV Longshin. It is necessary to be everything." There were only 7 people in the group. Some of his classmates have not yet returned from the field, some. I was finishing my homework and coursework. Seeing this message, everyone perked up at first. 7. You finally deigned to treat the elders, brothers and sisters. Since our Misu is treating me, I have to come. I haven't eaten yet. Today we're going for a wide walk. Wait. 7. If I remember correctly, it's your birthday. Isn't it something about Yulia that doesn't add up? You really have. Today is my birthday. A taxi pulled up. Su Xiaowei opened door for me and waited until I sat down. Only then she went to the other door and got into the car. Meanwhile, he answered in the chat and said, "So it is. Come and find out for yourself," and added, "I won't be alone. And no filming." After sending the message, he put the phone away, mood. I still haven't improved. Susuvi turned to me and asked if you wanted some milk. Tea. They say it lifts your spirits. I asked her in response, "Will you, the eldest, want to? I'll buy it for you." Sushi you brought me.